Tonight on Legends of the Deep.
It's a fascinating story, a ship sunk by spies.
It was an extremely bloody event.
Someone wanted to sink the ship.
Experienced divers have perished on this wreck. This is a dangerous dive.
The lower car decks are no-no.
I'll go in.
They're so far in now, comms has gone.
I do not think that this is a good idea.
Sasha! I'm shining my light in. Can you see it?
Okay, I need to get out of here now.
Sasha! Sasha!
Get out of there now!
For generations, the name Cousteau has been associated with a spirit of adventure and discovery. Our grandfather pioneered the earliest efforts in scuba technology, giving the world its first glimpse at the vast underwater universe.
Our grandfather devoted his life to ocean exploration, and now we are picking up where he left off. Using brand new technologies, we are continuing our grandfather's mission to uncover the secrets of some of the world's greatest ocean mysteries. Known as the playground for the gods, the island of Cyprus is dominated by mountain ranges, fertile valleys, and sprawling beaches. Conquerors, pilgrims, and smugglers have flocked to this Mediterranean Mecca for over 10,000 years. Its proximity to Europe and the Middle East has more recently made the island a hotbed of conflict and conspiracy.
We're in Cyprus on the hunt for clues to a 40-year-old mystery. What sank the Zenobia?
In June 1980, on just its second ever voyage, the Zenobia, a massive modern ferry, was sailing with 151 people on board when it inexplicably took on water and sank to the bottom of the Mediterranean.
Wow, it's massive.
An estimated $200 million worth of questionable cargo remain entombed 130 feet down on the seafloor.
The lifeboat.
Local legend has it that the Zenobia was sabotaged by spies for smuggling weapons destined for the Middle East. To date, the sinking of the Zenobia and her unclaimed cargo remain shrouded in mystery.
This is the bridge.
It's eerie.
Our grandfather, Jacques Cousteau, dove dozens of wrecks in the Mediterranean. He loved how their secrets remained preserved in the sea, just waiting to be unlocked. My brother and I are here to do just that. But where do we start? It's too risky to go inside without a plan. The Zenobia is as dangerous as it is enormous. 5 people have died exploring this wreck. We need to find out as much as we can about this Titanic of the Mediterranean, starting with her last fateful hours. The Cyprus Port Authority in Larnaca houses old records of the ships that came in and out of the harbor.
So he said Archive Room 7, yeah?
It should have an official report of the Zenobia disaster.
Oh, wow, look at this. All of these are 1849, 1915. I'll look in the filing cabinets.
That'd be a good idea.
Oh, this might be tough. Everything's in Greek. This is it. Swedish Maritime Investigation Commission, the Zenobia.
Oh, you found something?
Tank. There's the cargo, trucks, trailers, passenger cars. Look at this, Fabien. It says that just after midnight on June 2nd, the ship began to heel following a turn. It tilted to its port side very quickly, causing the cargo to shift, which increased the tilt even more. Water was streaming onto the decks and into the engine room.
And according to this document, the computerized pump system, which was designed to level the ship, unfortunately it failed, and any attempts to redistribute the water failed because the diesel generator had stopped working. But even stranger is that the backup generator wasn't working either. So many failures, one after the other. It's very unusual.
The report says that the crew discovered a pilot door had been left open, which allowed water essentially to pour in from the sea, flooding the belly of the ship. The crew attempted to close the gate, but they failed as it was mysteriously secured and would not move.
Well, that's interesting.
At 2 a.m. on June 7th, 1980, the Zenobia sank to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. All on board, including the captain, were safely removed from the vessel.
This was a brand new ship. Why did the technology fail? Why did the generator fail? And the backup generator? I mean, who propped the pilot door open, allowing water to fill the belly of the ship?
It's almost as if someone wanted to sink the ship.
With so many unanswered questions, we set up a meeting with the current owner of the Zenobia's salvage rights, Andreas Panayotou. If anyone has an idea of why she sank,
Andreas.
it would be him.
Welcome to Cyprus Fest. I kiss you now.
That's much better.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet you.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure. We're trying to put together the pieces of the puzzle about the Zenobia.
You're a boat captain yourself. Do you believe the official story, or do you think that there may have been another reason why it sank?
Για μένα, έχω ερωτηματικά που δεν μπορώ να τα απαντήσω. 3 μήνες μετά το ναυάγιο ήταν κλειστή περιοχή και έρχονταν καθημερινώς στρατιωτικοί και βουτούσαν πάνω στο ναυάγιο. Λες οι φήμες ήταν Άγγλοι με Ισραηλίτες.
So what you're saying is that the British and the Israeli Navy were on the Zenobia for 3 months
Yes,
after it sunk.
after the sun.
What were they looking for?
The stories is they have some guns for the PLO.
The Palestine Liberation Organization, or PLO, have been playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse on the high seas with Israel since the 1970s. Smuggling weapons on fishing boats and giant container ships still occurs today.
This must be the place.
To find any evidence of weapons aboard the Zenobia, we're working with dive shop owner Chris Martin.
Hey!
Hi, guys.
You must be Chris.
I am. Hi.
Chris, what do you make of this mystery, the potential arms that were on board?
The arms for the PLO. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's plausible. There is a theory that Mossad were involved. Mossad got on board, flooded one side, emptied the other, and she developed a 45-degree list. So it went down at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's unconfirmed. I've heard it a few times. And people say the arms could have been inside the middle car deck, housed in crates, camouflaged in amongst all timber.
Sounds like that middle car deck might have some evidence.
Let's go.
It sounds outrageous. Why would secret agents deliberately sink this civilian vessel? If we find any evidence of weapons, it might point to a massive international cover-up of high seas sabotage.
All right, guys, we got probably about 10 to 15 minutes. We get in the water.
Just bear in mind, it's been 38 years. Don't handle degrading, munitions and so forth. Just be aware, okay?
We really need to be careful. As this wreck is on its side, there are some trucks chained to the deck, and those trucks are now hanging with those chain locks. It's been 40 years. Anything can happen.
Full penetration wreck dives are as risky as it gets, from being disoriented to snagged or trapped and running out of air. Add to that a ship filled with potentially explosive cargo. It's no wonder that 5 people have perished, doing exactly what we're about to do.
I'm not touching anything. I don't want to stir up any silt, and I certainly don't want any of those trucks falling on us.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll take it easy, we'll take it slow, and
Yeah.
if there's any problem whatsoever, we abort the dive and come back out.
I can't stress upon you enough that experienced divers have perished on this wreck. This is a dangerous dive.
through the pilot door. Middle cargo deck is this way. Captain, we are about to enter the vessel through the pilot hatch.
Chapkin, we can hear you, over.
Remember, the ship is on its side, on an angle. You may become disoriented.
We're looking for any evidence of weapons.
So many trucks. Russian car. I haven't seen one of those in a while.
Looks like wooden planks.
Wooden cranks over?
I'm gonna make the assumption that this was a crate that broke open.
Let's take a closer look. Look above you. Holy. The chain could snap. You need to get out of there now.
We're 100 feet down inside the Zenobia, a 40-year-old shipwreck, hunting for an illegal stash of weapons.
Look above you. Holy. The chain could snap. You need to get out of there now.
Luckily, the chains hold, and we continue our search.
There's one everywhere.
If there were missiles or guns, they may have been hit in crates that were broken open. If the TLO ever hid weapons, this would be a good place. We're at 1,500 PSI.
I suggest we turn around and head back.
We need to get a move on. We should see light any second. Surface, this is Chapkin. We are beginning our ascent from the middle cargo deck.
Okay, Chapkin, message received, over.
Getting in to that space, super tight. There's just basically the pilot door. So you kind of have to squeeze in and go sideways. And then getting in, it's completely pitch black. Kind of spooky, eerie, but then when your light shines, you start seeing all the details. And there's so much there.
That was pretty amazing. There's a lot of stuff down there.
They used to hide arms, right? In the middle of shipments, in the middle of cargo. Maybe that could have been something in the middle of all that timber.
So you could stack wood on a trailer, make a base, put weapons in the middle, keep stacking up so that you had this kind of hollow area that you could not possibly see into.
With over 100 trucks aboard the Zenobia, it would have been easy to conceal a devastating arsenal of weapons, everything from guns to missiles. Did the Brits and Israelis recover everything they were looking for?
The theory that the Zenobia was carrying an illegal shipment of arms has become legend, and some legends are based on fact.
If we're going to find out whether this legend is fact or fiction, we need to know if Cyprus played any role in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We're off to get some answers from local journalist and historian Nathan Morley.
Well, thanks so much for meeting us here.
Good to see you. Nice to be here.
So, as you know, we're out here to investigate the Zenobia. What do you think of this theory that it was carrying illegal arms?
Well, I don't rule anything out. I have a very open mind, certainly bearing in mind the period this happened in. The 80s and the 70s were fairly volatile here. This harbour and this coastline were being used for under-the-table deals for arms and other cargoes.
There's a lot of articles of what was happening in that era. This one reads, gun runners and tourists mingle on picturesque Isle of Cyprus. One Palestinian was caught last year smuggling hand grenades in Chianti bottles.
Yeah. There was an incident which actually took place here in 1985 when Palestinians boarded an Israeli yacht just here. They claimed the 3 Israelis on board the yacht were involved in some kind of espionage, and they murdered them. And this standoff went on all day, and eventually they gave themselves up. It was an extremely bloody event, and that really highlights the kind of atmosphere there was here with espionage, spies. It was very James Bond-esque atmosphere.
Considering the strategic location of Cyprus and all of the stories around it, it is conceivable that something could have been hidden on the Zenobia.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, I wouldn't rule it out. In the Eastern Europe at the time, there were a lot of weapons available if you had the cash. The Palestinian Liberation Organization at that point, they actually were well financed. They had a lot of money.
Encircled by Libya, Egypt, Syria, and Turkey, countries suspected for funding the PLO, it's clear why the island of Cyprus was a hotbed of clandestine activity in 1980. The PLO had the motive and the means. The Zenobia sailed right through the center of it all.
Hello?
It's Chris Martin.
Hi, Chris.
I've got a new lease here.
We'll be right over. Looks like Chris has something for us.
Oh, great. Let's go check it out.
Yeah? I mean, despite the official records, I'm still a little skeptical. Why would a Swedish vessel come down, smuggle arms into Syria, and how would they get the arms on board?
The captains and the owners might not even know what they have on board. There's so many ships and so many containers that go through these ports, they can't check everything. So it could be pretty easy, actually, to hide weapons. You know, arms dealers are really crafty. They're going to make it really hard for shipments to be tracked by surveillance operations.
The Zenobia set sail from Slovenia, destined for the Middle East.
According to declassified CIA documents, Slovenia, then part of Yugoslavia, was known to train and equip PLO fighters. Maybe Chris's new lead will help us get closer to finding some real proof that the Zenobia was indeed smuggling arms.
I hear you have information for us.
I do. Not me, but my brother Eric has.
Got some photos to show you of something I found.
Wow, what is this?
That's a machine pistol, German-made, commonly known as a Schmeiser. I found it just off the wreck of the Zenobia.
We're in Cyprus, investigating the mysterious sinking of the Zenobia, a cargo ferry rumored to be sunk for smuggling arms to Syria.
Wow, what is this?
It's a machine pistol, commonly known as the Schmeiser. The Germans used it in the Second World War. I found it just off the wreck of the Zenobia. We had lost a cylinder, a drop tank, after we'd been diving, so I went with an underwater scooter, starting from the Zenobia, and I was going to come all the way back to shore. And I was down about 20 meters, and I saw what looked like a spear gun. And I went down and picked it up, and there it was, a little bit encrusted with growth,
didn't have the magazine. It wasn't in that kind of condition that you see now, but it's been there nearly 20 years.
That's pretty amazing. Have you found any of these on the shipwreck itself?
No, I just found that one.
So you think this might be related to the wreck itself?
It must have come off the Zenobia. There's no other way that it could have been there.
It's a cool find. But would the Brits and Israelis really sink a civilian ship just for machine guns?
There is a theory that the Zenobia was carrying weapons-grade uranium.
Uranium? Really?
That's probably why the Navy divers were there. Nobody wants nuclear weapons in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
In the early 80s, the PLO were allegedly seeking weapons-grade uranium from the United States and had military support from Yugoslavia, a country rich in uranium deposits. Only 35 pounds of the stuff can create a nuclear bomb. A nightmare scenario for Israel, its ally Great Britain, and indeed the world.
Considering this new piece of evidence, I think we need to dive the Zenobia again.
There's loads and loads of trucks in the upper car deck, so maybe we should start there.
Great idea. Let's do that.
Okay, let's go diving.
Weapons-grade uranium has a radioactive half-life of over 700 million years. If there was a stash on board the Zenobia, traces would still be there. So we've sourced the perfect tool to crack this mystery wide open.
Wow, that is a serious rig.
Yeah, this is an underwater Geiger counter, so if there's any radiation whatsoever on the Zenobia, this thing will detect it.
How does it actually work?
Essentially, the heart of the electronics is this nitrogen gas-filled tube that when even a single particle of uranium goes through, it creates an electric current that registers right here on the counter itself. Green means safe, right here, it's very low, and then as soon as you get into the red, that's when you have to start worrying that there's a lot of radiation around.
Is there any danger to us as divers?
If we see numbers beyond 200, we probably want to get away and report it to the authorities.
Remember to put defog in?
It's been 40 years, and to our knowledge, no one's actually tested for radiation.
If there is evidence of uranium down there, it might point to a narrowly averted nuclear war in the Middle East.
Start on the upper cargo deck.
Roger that. Pretty incredible to see this truck completely turned over.
More trucks down here. I need to be within 6 feet to get a reading. I'm going deeper. Maybe try the undercarriage. There's so many trucks down here. Hang on, the Geiger counter is going off. There's something here.
We're searching for radioactive cargo on a wreck that mysteriously sank off the coast of Cyprus.
Hang on, the Geiger counter is going off. There's something here.
What is it?
I'm not sure. It may be a malfunction. It beeped, but the numbers didn't move. We need to go topside to figure this out.
We should probably download the file for the Geiger counter and see if we picked up anything really significant.
Let's go download data.
Okay, let's plug it into the computer. Well, although there are a couple of small spikes, it looks pretty flat here. It's pretty safe to say there's no weapons-grade uranium, at least on the upper deck.
The upper and middle cargo decks are a bust, but there's one more we haven't explored. The dark and dangerous lower cargo deck. Could this be where the PLO hid their illegal shipment?
As a rule, I don't take divers to the lower car deck. The lower car deck's a no-no. But on this occasion, because of their expert skill set, we're going to take a good wide search and see if we can find something spectacular.
Just remember, lower cargo deck, there are very few stories about this deck. Very few people have gone there, and when they have, they've all been horror stories. If we got stuck, that would be the worst scenario.
On 2 separate occasions, experienced divers lost their bearings and got trapped in the engine room. It's believed they removed their dive equipment in a struggle to get out. Their bodies were later recovered.
Try and stow all the dangly bits as much as possible so you don't get hung up.
We need to travel lean and light, so the Geiger counter will remain topside. We're still on the hunt for any evidence of illegal weapons.
This is the entry point. Emergency exit. May come in handy. Not many divers have been this deep inside.
Chapkin, this is surface. Comms check, over. Celine, this is surface. Comms check, over. Celine, this is surface. Comms check, over.
I'll go in, and if it appears safe, I'll signal for you both to follow.
They're so far in now, comms has gone. It's a kind of a headache now. I need to know what's going on. If anything goes wrong, we don't know.
Whoa! What can you see? Not much. A stairwell. Visibility is starting to get bad. It kicked up a lot of rust and silt.
Chapkin, this is surface. Comms check, over. They're too far in. Right, they've been inside now for 21 minutes. It's a long time.
Wreckage blocking the way. You better stay out of here.
Any sign of what we're looking for?
I can't see a thing in here. Which way is out? Okay, I need to get out of here now.
Sandra, I'm shining my light in. Can you see it? Sandra! Sandra!
We're deep in the Zenobia shipwreck, looking for any evidence of weapons. But our air is running low.
Okay, I need to get out of here now.
Sandra, I'm shining my light in. Can you see it? Sandra! Sandra!
I see you, Sidine. Coming out now. Nasty in there. Surface, this is Chapter. We are beginning our ascent from the lower cargo deck.
Dive team, glad you made it out there. We'll see you at the surface, over.
When we finally got down to the entrance to that third cargo hold, it was just way too tight.
I could just see you disappear into it, and there was just silt absolutely everywhere, and then darkness. You know, it's really frustrating because if there were going to be any weapons or anything hidden, it would probably be on the lower cargo deck.
So much debris and so many obstructions, it just wasn't possible to go in any deeper.
We might not want to be sending divers down there to find what we're looking for, but I have an idea. If we're going to see what's inside Zenobia's dark and dangerous lower cargo deck, we're going to need cutting-edge technology. So we've called in a team specialized in remote-operated vehicles to be able to squeeze into that small space and see what's inside.
This is it, huh? This is the ROV?
Yes. This is our ROV.
Wow. It's small, huh?
Yeah. Will this one be able to snake through all the debris?
Yeah. This ROV is very powerful and is small enough to get into almost any access point. It can go 1,000 feet depth and 4 knots of speed, and is ideal to do wreck penetration.
We now have the tools to find out. Was the Zenobia sunk for carrying weapons of mass destruction?
Just a second.
The ROV is ready. But Mother Nature has other ideas.
Obviously, with the rain behind us, this is causing a little bit of delay in our operations. Divers and the ROV can get in the water so they can get wet, but all of the other material is really sensitive, so we need to keep it dry. It's just putting a hold on what we need to do.
Somebody grab the other side. I have this side. Okay. Coming around.
Yep.
All right. Put it in there.
Which side?
Guess we sit and wait.
Watch the roll. Roll, everyone. It's going to keep going. We should be ready to go soon, and there's definitely clear skies coming up ahead.
Looks like the weather gods are smiling on us. Let's get the ROV in the water.
To our knowledge, we're sending an ROV deeper into the Zenobia than ever before, to the mysterious lower cargo deck in search of weapons. It's just the kind of nifty tech our grandfather would have loved.
Are we getting close?
Yeah, we're getting close. We're about 10 meters away. On the right should be an opening right into the lower cargo hold. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that's it. That's it right there.
Is that a staircase?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at how creepy that is. Let's go in. That's exactly where we needed to go.
I'm going in.
Like, it's very tight.
Let's have a look. We are now on the bottom of the stairs. So let's try to get in.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
I don't know. It looks like a pipe.
It's hard to tell because there's so much in here.
I can't go any further. So we'll come back. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
Let's do that.
So let's go back.
Look at that door now. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Let's have a look.
Oh, what's that?
On our way out of the lower cargo deck, Fabien notices a hidden passageway on the ROV's monitor.
Look at that door now. Oh, that's pretty cool.
A new entrance to the middle cargo deck we haven't explored.
Oh, what's that?
A strange shape appears below the ROV. As it dives closer, it looks like a sleeping bag, unrolled on a pile of debris.
That's amazing.
Could this be part of some covert military cargo? It's impossible to know by looking at the ROV monitor, and diving this wreck at night is out of the question. We need to come back at first light and make one more descent. This is our last chance to solve the mystery of the Zenobia.
This is a game changer. I feel like we're finally closing in on something real.
Thanks to the ROV, we know a quick route to what we believe is an unexplored area of the middle cargo deck. Was the Zenobia carrying a military shipment for the PLO?
It's exciting to have seen it on the ROV.
Yeah.
And now actually getting it down there and seeing it for real.
There's nothing like a first-hand experience, and maybe even some evidence would be sweet.
I know, that would be great.
Let's do this thing.
It looked a little daunting to squeeze in there, but once you get in and through, man, it just opens up, and that whole cargo hold is just eerie. And then getting to the bottom, where all that debris and all those trucks are.
This truck is loaded with sleeping bags. I'm going in for a closer look. These could be military.
A truckload of sleeping bags certainly looks like the remnants of a military shipment. Maybe those Navy divers successfully recovered the lethal cargo, saving millions of lives in the process.
At the bottom there was spread everywhere those sleeping bags.
Yeah.
And a couple of them were actually unrolled and out there.
Yeah, actually, I was looking above you, and all I could see was these sort of cocoon-looking pods just kind of lined up and sitting there.
Could this have been some sort of military supply?
When you take a good look at it, it really looked military issue. That does indicate that there could be other things of military nature in that cargo hold.
The mystery of the Zenobia is still very much alive.
There's way too much circumstantial evidence, way too many rumors, and way too much interest around the sinking of the Zenobia. Something must have happened.
Every person we've talked to has given us a clue. There was something aboard the Zenobia that was headed somewhere. This entire area was really just a shipping ground for arms going to the Middle East.
Seeing the sleeping bags, being able to send an ROV into the Zenobia, being able to validate some of these rumors around arms deals and PLO and Syria is pretty phenomenal.
And considering the Navy was there searching the Zenobia after it sunk, they were definitely looking for something.
Something's down there.
We really got one step closer. This is what it's about, right? Finding the answers to ocean mysteries is about taking one step closer.